Jovas, man, I'm happy that you're here today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Super excited to just, have your time. And honestly, I've been knowing you now for uh, 12 years. How long have y'all been out of school?
Something like that. Yeah. So I graduated dental school in what year was that? 2014. Yeah, 2014.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. So 11, at least, no, longer than that, because when y'all
Yeah.
were in school, so 12 to 13 years.
Yeah.
But you went to dental school with my wife, India.
Yes.
Met you, y'all were fast friends. We became
Hmm.
fast friends and
Hmm.
live here in Atlanta as
Uh-huh.
well. We get to hang out, which is a lot of fun. But I think the world of you, man. I think you're brilliant, not just from an education standpoint, but private practice pediatric dentist. I think you're a well-balanced man. And I really just think that your story is extremely compelling. So
Hmm.
I wanted to share it and hopefully, get it out there to other people that may not know you as well
Yeah.
as, I do or India does as
Yeah.
well. But in your own words, who's Jovas Booker?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for all of those things. Thanks you for having me as well. Who is Jovas Booker? Jovas Booker is a lot of things. So he's a pediatric dentist, yoga instructor, partner. Um, I feel like good person. Yeah, always wanting to strive to be his best, do his best. Um, yeah, striving for excellence.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
good,
say
man.
that. Yeah.
It's good. So tell me more about your foundational story and your upbringing. Where are you from originally?
I was born in Atlanta. So, born in Atlanta, Northside Hospital. So, ATL baby. Then I moved to Arkansas when I was in kindergarten. So moved there in kindergarten and then grew up in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So I guess like medium, small town feel. So spent my time there as a kid all the way from elementary school, first grade, to high school. Um, and yeah, so grew up there and really enjoyed my experience there. Although like I always came back to and from Atlanta. So I guess I'd spend most of my time here and also in Fort Smith. Yeah.
It's good. And you were are an only child.
Yes, only child. So that was a big part of my upbringing, but I also have my mom's one of five kids. So one of five kids there. So I had a lot of cousins. So grew up with a big family, even though I was an only child. My dad lived in Atlanta when I was growing up. My mom worked for a company that was in Arkansas, so spent my time split. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally between Arkansas and Atlanta, right?
Yes.
So tell me more just about that in detail. Your mom had her own career, your dad had his career. How did that balance between going back and forth really work for you and you being an only child? Did you feel like an only child? Did you not feel like an only child?
Yeah. So I did feel like an only child, but my parents kept me in a lot of activities growing up. So I started doing gymnastics when I want to say it was right after we moved to Fort Smith. So I started doing gymnastics then, and then also swam, did a lot of other activities. So I feel like a big part of my childhood was with different teammates, different team members. Also, grew up with church, and so family at church as well. So growing up back and forth, it was interesting. So I feel like it's more common now, like where you'll see families that are where you have one parent that lives in one place, another parent that lives in another place. But my parents were really good about, I guess, making sure that I was well-rounded, also making sure that they were both present in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. What intentionality and what did your parents do when they were sorry, when you were growing up? What were their professions?
Oh, good question. So my dad was a metallurgist. So he was one of the first black metallurgists, and then he grew up in New Jersey.
You have to explain what that is.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I guess the best way, don't quote me on this, but the best way to explain it is just he was an engineer, so
Okay.
like deal with metals. He helped to manufacture the way that he tells it is an escalator. So like I guess like there's some chain that helps to pull an escalator up. So he worked for a company in New Jersey at the time when he did that. Um, after he um after he worked for a while, I can't remember the name of the company there, he decided to open up his own business. So he had a paving and grading company in Atlanta, so Booker Trucking. So had a company where paved roads all over Atlanta, helped to work on the MARTA project growing up. I guess that was probably in the 80s. And then my mom is, she's basically a property manager for a family that's in Arkansas. And so they own a very big business. And so she manages a lot of their personal things.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Tell me more about the really just like the environment that you're raising as well. Was it predominantly white, predominantly black, a mix? What did that really look like for you, and how did that experience really shape you as a young black boy?
Yeah. So obviously Atlanta, you're going to have more black kids, more black people in Atlanta than Fort Smith, Arkansas. So I think when I graduated high school, um, all out of the people who graduated, I want to say there were maybe 10 to 15 or less of us,
Wow.
black kids. So yeah, so predominantly white, I'd say suburban neighborhood.
How was
Yeah.
that experience for you and just growing up, like your sense of self, your culture, and like really going back from one, a predominantly white area, and then coming to Atlanta, which is, I think today the blackest city in America.
Yeah.
How did that impact you in like those foundational years?
So how, that's a good question. So I think my parents were really good and really intentional about just me being the best I could be. So just coming back to the question about who am I, just striving to be the best Jovas. So it didn't matter like what color anyone else was. And I even remember being a kid and being like, I don't know, getting like grades, and my grades were good and like A's. And my mom was like, well, were you the best? Like, we don't want you to compare. Like, do you feel like you could have done better? Could you have studied harder? And if the answer was yes, then it was like, okay, we'll try to do that next time. So even though I was one of the only black kids, like a lot of times in my classroom, I think the focus and what my parents got me to think about and got me to do is just to be my best self. So it really, that was a big part of my upbringing, especially since my mom grew up in the same town. So she grew up there, and so she knew how it was being one of few. And so it wasn't a comparison. It wasn't really thinking about like if you are the only one or if you're one of just a few. It was just really just being your best self.
Yeah.
And so I learned to, um, I would say I learned to just, I don't want to say not look at color, but it was almost like you just kind of set it aside. You may look at it and see it in the room, but then outside of taking that like one glance and that one perspective of looking at it, then you just try to forget about it and just be you, be
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
It's good, man. And for me, because I grew up in a predominantly white suburb as well,
Hmm.
and I don't feel like I really had like a true sense of self
Hmm.
until I got older, like
Yeah.
more mature,
Yeah.
because I just didn't have that. Like you, at least you came to Atlanta, so you were able to see other like
Yeah.
black kids from time to time,
Yeah.
and that wasn't as consistent, I think, for me,
Yeah.
until I got older, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like this is me, like more of our identity, more of our culture, more of I think that like the what was normal, because like
Hmm.
I brushed my hair when I had hair,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but I brushed my hair differently,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I didn't use gel products or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I've always felt a little lost, I think, like in those foundational years
Hmm.
growing up. But
Yeah.
once I started getting older and being around more kids that look like me is when I realized like, no, I'm not doing things the wrong way. I'm
Yeah.
just doing things that are different because of
Yeah.
variations of cultures.
Yeah, and I think that that's a one thing that both of my parents just tried to get me to see. And my dad was older. I know that later on we'll probably talk about that. But so my dad growing up in areas and spaces like where they were segregated, I think that was where he just told me just like, hey, like walk into the room, be proud, be yourself,
Mm,
and just stand in your confidence. And that was, I think, just something that I always heard. And especially being an only child, my parents were just constantly like reinstilling that over time. Yeah.
yeah, it's good, man. And,
Yeah.
and, and you've also shared with me that your mom, and I think it's a powerful quote, but would always remind you and tell you to shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
Like, how does that still impact you to this day?
Um, every single day I think about it. I mean, it impacts me greatly. So once again, I think just coming back to that word, trying to be my best self, excellence, and that's just, I think, what was just always instilled in me is just being the best that I can be. And like there's no limit if you truly like put effort into it and try your best. And like even if you fall, even if there are times that you struggle, as long as you tried and did your best and shot for the stars, that's all you could do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good, man. And again, I think success is a common theme that I've experienced being your friend, and then also just seeing, how you operate and really do life. But I do know that you finished top 10% of your graduating high school class. You had to finish, I'm assuming, top percent of your dental class as well. You end up going on to an Ivy League. But honestly, like, where do you think that that drive comes from and that discipline comes from?
Very good question, Ben. um, where would I say that drive comes from? I think it's internal. There's always been, I think, just proving to myself that like I can do my best and be my best every single day that I wake up and give it all that I have. And then some of that, if you talk to my mom to this day, she will tell you, I feel like I pushed you too hard. But I don't think without some of that push, it's like, could you have done better? And if the answer was yes, then I kind of thought and sat with that. And it's like the next time I had the similar situation, like, did I do better? Like, what did I learn from the previous experience? And so I think a lot of my drive is internal, and probably some of that stems from being an only child too, is like you just want to make your parents proud. So that's probably where it started from, but then over time transitioned into just me just being self-driven,
Mhm.
self-motivated. Yeah.
It's good, man. And like to unpack that a little bit more, because I think like I'm a high drive person as well,
Hmm.
as is my wife, as you know,
Yeah.
and you are as well. And I think at times I feel guilty sometimes, depending on the friend or the person that I'm speaking with.
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes for me, if a peer or friend doesn't have like that drive or that discipline,
Yeah.
a little me internally, and I try really, really hard not to,
Hmm.
but a little of me does judge.
Yeah.
And I'll think in my head, like, well, I don't, like, why are you just not getting it done? Why aren't you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
do you have those moments? One, and two, if you do, how do you overcome them? And what are you doing to make sure that you're like not being that way with everybody? Does that make sense?
Ooh. Yes, that does make sense. So I I think I just have to, everyone's their own person. So that comes back to like when you're like in a this is what I think of is like when you're in a group project in like high school, middle school, elementary school, like you like give someone a task and like they don't do it. I feel like for me, I just naturally want to take over.
Yeah.
And that's where like the A type comes in. So like naturally I want to take over, but just like you, it's like I have to learn, take a step back, take a deep breath, and then just be like, okay, like maybe give someone a little bit of assistance, but I can't take over. I can't, it's not my place to judge why someone's not excelling or like where I think that they should be. I think part of it is that you have to realize it yourself.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good, man. It's really good advice.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your parents push you too hard? And I selfishly ask you that
Uh-huh.
because, as you know, India and I are raising two little ones right
Uh-huh.
now, and we
Yeah.
both are very type A.
Yeah.
And I find myself having those quiet conversations internally where I'm like, either I'm telling myself, all right, Ben, like, relax, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal,
Yeah.
or I am on the verge of like, maybe I need to lean in and push harder here because I
Yeah.
know that she can do more. I know that he can do more.
Yeah.
But now, as a 30 something year old male,
Uh-huh.
do you Was it exactly what you needed, or do you feel like less could have been more?
I I feel like at some points there probably was extra pressure, but I think I don't know if this is a weird answer, but I think I thrived on just that pressure. So that's a me thing. Working with kids every day, I think that every kid is motivated differently. So I think, and I'm not a parent now, so I can't speak to this and like how I would be because I think every kid's different. But I think it has to work for the kid. So I think the pressure that I had, my parents knew that it probably would push me, and they probably had realized before, like, hey, we we tried to push him and it worked. Like he excelled in this. So like let's try it again. So was there too much pressure? Possibly, but I once again don't think I'd be the person who I am today
Yeah,
without the pressure.
it's good,
Yeah.
man. Really good, and helpful. So thank you for sharing. You attended UGA for undergrad. Tell me about that experience and how was it for you?
Yeah, so go dogs. So love my experience at Georgia. So I part of the reason why I wanted to come back to Georgia was for my dad. So I wanted to be closer to my dad. So I looked at all different colleges. I felt for me going to a big school was a good fit. Just because I knew that you'd have all different types of people, like different groups. I interviewed at smaller schools, so I felt like, a big school is like where I need to go just because there's a lot of activities growing up. As we previously spoken on, I did several activities. I played the violin in high school. I swam, grew up doing gymnastics. So I always liked a lot of different variation, different variety. So going to Georgia was a great experience. I got to meet a lot of great friends who helped to shape me into who I am today. Got to experience a lot of great things in Athens. And I will say it was challenging being at a big school because I feel like you may be able to speak on this going to Morehouse, being at a smaller school. At Georgia, I will say in the beginning as a freshman, you feel like a number just because
Mm,
you're in such big classes. So I feel like some college kids will probably excel in that situation. And then other kids, like you don't have that same like attention, so you have to seek it out. So I feel like I had a very good foundation to where I knew like I had good study skills. Like for me, like a lot of the stuff that some kids struggle with, I personally didn't have that. So my parents felt very comfortable with that. And then going to Georgia, I was in several different organizations. One of my favorite being the Arch Society. So it's basically like an ambassadorship program for the University of Georgia through um, basically the president's office. So you're one of a few students. If you ever see them, they're wearing blazers on TV, like sitting in certain sections. So what I loved about Art Society for me is that it was a lot of different students who once again excelled in their area. So like people now who are doctors and lawyers and I think even senators and so just a very good, well-rounded group of people. And I feel like we all came from different backgrounds and motivated each other. So that became like a little family as I was at Georgia. That was later on. So you had to be a certain year before you could apply for it. But so I think that that was one of probably the most impactful things for me at Georgia. And once more coming back is Georgia, a predominantly white university. So finding my niche, and that felt like a niche of people who excelled, who looked like me, who also were motivated,
mm.
driven. And so that became like a little family when I was at Georgia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool, man. Because you know, as you know, I went to Georgia for grad school, and
Uh-huh.
going back to your Morehouse comment, for me, it was like being in this predominantly white suburb my entire life through
Yeah.
high school, and
Yeah.
then deciding to go to a smaller HBCU. Like I got that one-on-one
Hmm.
attention,
Yeah.
at times probably too much attention, because it was, if you were not doing well in this
Yeah.
class or this test score wasn't
People
like,
knew.
yeah, everybody
Yeah.
knew, and it was
Yeah.
like the professor knew everyone's name. It
Hmm.
wasn't like student 147 in
Yeah.
this auditorium. It's like,
Yeah.
no, no, there are no auditoriums.
Yeah.
you're in a classroom and the teacher's like, "Hey, Mr.
Hmm.
Collier, what happened here?"
Hmm.
You know, which I needed
Yeah.
in that moment, you
Yeah.
know, and I knew that I needed, more of a space. And it sounds like you found that with your society of like being around others that look like me, that were trying to excel and push
Hmm.
themselves as well.
Yeah.
You know, it was a gift. At the end of the day, it was really, really great. What'd you study at Georgia?
I was biology major.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So went in pretty much knowing that, well, thinking that I wanted to do dentistry. So backstory with that, my orthodontist was growing up, was a mentor. And so he kind of just instilled and kind of mentored me growing up. Dr. Udodge was great. He's since passed, but was just a great person to talk to as I was going through dental school and just to connect with and hear about his experiences and learn about dentistry through him. So I came into University of Georgia thinking that I would do pre-dental, and so I stayed on that path throughout college.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool, man. Because the average, I don't know, maybe it's changed, but the average college kid coming in school has no idea what they want to do,
yeah, yeah,
and or I had a few friends that are like, yeah, I want to be a doctor, and then they take like their first set of biology
yeah,
classes and are like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm going to study business.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you committed, you stuck it through, and it's been great ever since. But I know that you going to Georgia, here in Athens, put you a little bit closer to your father that was here in
Mhm.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
How was that relationship and that journey with you being a little bit closer here?
Yeah, so growing up apart from my dad, so my dad was still like a very big component of my life, even though we were separate places. So typically, I would come to Atlanta maybe like once a month, once every 6 weeks. So I was like back and forth. And then my dad would also come to Arkansas, but since his business was here, he had to stay here, live here. So when I moved back, Athens was not far away, so I would see him a lot of times on the weekend. And we always had a close connection. So even growing up, back when you could call on night and weekends with your cell phone.
Yeah.
So we had like our time that we would talk, even though I was growing up in Arkansas. So we had set times throughout the week, or throughout the week as I was growing up. And then coming back to Georgia, I was able just to be closer to him, which I wanted. That also, I feel like allowed my mom to come back more because then she's like, okay. Joseph's here, her husband, my dad. He's here, and then also Jovas is here, so I need to come back there more than staying in Arkansas. So got to be closer to him. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
good, man. And I know, unfortunately, your father was sick when you were in school and
Hmm.
eventually passed away. How was that journey, and how did you really just navigate that space and really just that situation?
Yeah, so here's where it's gonna get, hopefully I don't start crying. I hope I won't, but if I do, it's fine.
Yeah.
I remember, I was very fortunate that I got to go on a study abroad, to Italy. So I spent a summer in Italy in college, and when I came back, I noticed that my dad had lost a lot of weight. So I was like, Dad, what's going on? Like he was a fit guy. So we eventually, me and my mom got him to go to the doctors, and then we found out that he had cancer. And that he had known actually a little bit that he potentially could have had cancer, but he didn't really dive into seeking any treatment or anything. So the journey began going into, I guess that was my senior year of college. So going into my senior year of college, like where he was starting to go see different oncologists and different specialists, and then we got a bigger deep dive, and then found out that his cancer has metastasized, it spread. Started out as colon cancer, then spread to be pancreatic cancer. So the choice became, did he want to do treatment and do chemo and go through this process? When my dad passed away, he was 72. So it was one of those things. I think he's like, I've literally lived my life. At that point, he was retired, or semi-retired from work. He'd work occasionally and had some different people that still worked for him at the time. But he decided that he didn't want to seek treatment. So that was a personal choice. So at that point, it became coming back from Athens to visit him. Basically, I would come at least once a weekend, like just take class during the week, come back, or have him drive to Athens. Like we would get lunch together. His appetite changed. So our big thing was that we'd always go eat Captain D's together. So
Mhm.
that was like what he craved. So it was like, okay, doctor was like, I know this isn't the most nutritious thing, but he needs food. So if that's what he wants, so like we would go get Captain D's, and we would spend time just talking, enjoying it. And ultimately, there was one day I had talked to him, called him the day before, and then that day I was just calling to check on him, and no answer. So called my mom, who's in Arkansas, and I was like, okay, dad's not answering. It's kind of funny. Like called the house line because we saw the landline at the point. I guess that was 2008 or 2009. And so ended up driving back after class that day, and then found that my dad had taken his life.
Mhm.
So I was the one who walked in. So um, that was definitely that changes someone. So you walk into that situation and you realize, okay, this is going on. I was very proud of myself. I feel like I was very obviously called my mom, called a very dear friend from school and was like, hey, this is going on. My friend Megan, who's now she's a primary care doctor now, and so spoke with her, waited for the cops to come. So dealt with all that just at my house by myself. And so that was my last experience. But I'm so happy that I got to be back in Georgia, be close to him for those last few years of his life. I know that that was really hard for him, and that it was just that he didn't want to suffer anymore. So I've just learned that this is where it's not about me. um Back to one of your questions earlier, you mentioned like how do you like other people, like if you like want to help them out, like what do you do? And it's like, well, I have to let them do what they need to do. Like it's not about me. There's a bigger picture. Everyone has their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own struggles, things that they're dealing with that we may not even know, even though it's my dad. And like I've had so many conversations with him about different things, and just trying to make sure he's comfortable. But that was ultimately like where we left it. And so I know recently, like before, like we talked about this and you didn't know that, and so it's one of the things that I kind of hold close to my heart. But I typically will tell people my dad had cancer. And so I won't let a lot of people in just because I feel like it makes me a little bit vulnerable.
Mm.
It also, I think, like you just wanna, like me, like having like an A-type personality and like wanting to, I guess, kind of like be the best, do the best. I feel like I lived for so long thinking that that would make me imperfect, but I also think it doesn't. Like there's so many other people who have gone through that same struggle, and I feel like opening up and connecting with people about that may help someone else out.
Yeah, man. Like, thank you, one, for your vulnerability and sharing that. It means the world to me just because like you don't have to and you don't have to offer that. But I think like again, going back to the type A, and a little bit of the perfectionist, because in reality, that's what type A really correlates to
Yeah.
in reality.
Yeah.
And I struggle with like a lot of just situations in my life where it's like even dealing with like my father being in prison and my mother being, addicted to drugs,
Hmm.
I shied away from telling that truth for decades
Yeah.
until I finally had like the courage to share and open up and, do this as well. And I guess my next question to you is like, has that felt like a mask, right? Like
Yeah.
that you've been carrying and or a weight or like I'm not being my full self at all times, during that journey and how does it feel after sharing like now?
It I don't think it, for me personally, it doesn't feel like it's a mask. I think the biggest thing is it is a guard, I will say that.
Mm,
Definitely that's a part that for me is guarded. Um, but yeah, it doesn't feel like a mask. It feels like it's a part of me that I hold close to my heart that I typically only let certain people close to me in, because I feel like my thought on someone leaving this earth, especially like after they've taken their own life, is I want to uphold like the
yeah.
positives of their legacy. And so I feel like every day of my life, every day that I step out, and that I'm being the best version of myself, I kind of look up and think, I know my dad would be proud. And this ring is one of I wear it every day because my dad
Mhm.
gave it to me. So like when I look down at that, it's just one of those, I know that he would be proud of me. So I think it's a twofold, like where some may view that as a mask. I think I view that as just something that I just hold close to my heart, and that it's a guard, and it's but once I'm comfortable enough to let people in, it's something that I definitely like will share.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Again, I think it's powerful. Last question on that topic. How did you overcome? Because you still ended up finishing out school and not just finishing, but it's like you dominated,
Yeah.
got into dental school, like all of the things.
Yeah.
Like how? And any advice for sorry to add
Someone,
on to it.
yeah.
Yeah, advice for people, not just kids,
Yeah.
adults as well that are navigating that situation.
Yeah, I think obviously I talk about my mom a lot. So I think she's my ride or die every single day. So I talk to her every day. So I think we got to go along that journey together. And I did go to therapy too for part of that time initially, just because you need to talk to someone, especially someone that's unbiased. So I think that helped during the time. And then having someone that I could talk to, like my mom, who was sharing the same experience. And yeah, like she will tell you, like the days were hard. Yes, I missed Joseph. I miss my dad. But like we have to continue a person's legacy, and then we have to keep going. We take one step, we take a breath, and we keep going, even though it's hard, even though it's challenging. It's just taking that single step every single day.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good, man. Really
yeah,
good. I appreciate it, Joe Boss, more than you know, and I think it's just typically a topic, especially in the Black culture, that like feels like it's taboo and we just
hmm,
never talk about it.
yeah,
Fortunately,
yeah,
so I'm grateful that for your willingness to open up and share a little bit more on my platform to do it because I know it's going to help somebody that may be navigating and or thinking through and or that has already dealt with
yeah,
a close loved one that committed suicide. So again, thank you for
hmm,
sharing that.
yeah.
Um, can you share about more about like mentorship? I know you're big revolving around mentorship and like the importance of it and how that has impacted your life.
Hmm. Yeah, so I had various mentors. I'm a big believer. I think anyone can be your mentor. It could be the person that you see every day at the front desk, like when you're walking into work. It could be someone who is a custodian at your office. It could be like your boss. Like it could be so many different people. So I truly try to learn something from everyone that I'm around, because I feel like you can learn from anyone. But I had various mentors throughout my life. So kind of in every stage, just different people. Both my parents I would consider great mentors to me. Obviously, they're just teaching me every single day. My orthodontist that I mentioned growing up, he was who led me to like dentistry. Also, part of the reason, I don't know if you know this either. Part of the reason why I wanted to be a dentist is when I was a kid, I was playing on or on our stairs at my house, and I jumped off the stairs. I was Superman in my Superman costume, busted my front two teeth, and they turned black. Like, it was a bloody massacre.
Did they come
So
out or they?
no, so they were in there. They were still gray, black. So I had to go to the dentist because of trauma. So as a pediatric dentist now, I deal with this every single day.
Mm,
But I was that kid that did that. And so my parents, I was going to the dentist, just following up, and then ended up in braces. So became very close with my orthodontist. And so he was a mentor for me with dentistry. And then throughout my life, I've just had various other mentors. One of the biggest mentors later on in my life, that actually when we were talking about everything, that I thought of again was one of the anesthesiologists that I work with at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia when I was at Penn, Dr. Alexis. So she was, even though as a pediatric dentist you're working with anesthesiologists throughout your residency, throughout your experiences, she wasn't like directly someone that I worked with every single day, but I saw her a lot in the hospital. So she would always see me, and I think for her, so she's from Trinidad. She's since passed away from colon cancer as well.
mm,
And she was like, "How are you doing? Like, I want you to be the best." So once again, another person, um, black female, who's just putting and instilling into me, like, do your best, be your best. So through my 2 years at Penn, through my 2 years at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, she was just a constant who was always just motivating me, asking how I was doing, like where I was. Even though we're not supposed to compare ourselves, she was kind of giving me insight on like, "Hey, I think you're doing really great. You're just constant motivation." So I've had various mentors throughout my life. Those are two that just pop in my head right now.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. How did you gain those mentors, and what advice would you give to kids that, or people, not just kids, sorry,
Yeah.
that may be looking to acquire a mentor but may not know how?
So those two people, they were my orthodontist was just someone that you see every few weeks, and so I honestly just asked him if he wanted to, like, could I come shadow him, and would he be receptive to it? And then Dr. Alexis, she just kind of, you I'm a big believer that there are angels on earth
Mhm.
that you end up connecting with and that you meet, and they're there to once again teach you something. And I think she was just one of those people that was there to teach me, just even though it wasn't something that I was doing every single day, she was there to teach me just different life lessons.
Yeah,
And she was one of those people. So she kind of fell into my lap. But I would tell anyone, if there's something that you want to do, and you know or have a connection to someone who's in that field, or you have a friend who's connected to that person, just ask. Just ask them, and more than likely the person's gonna be receptive to help you out.
man,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think that people are always like, well, how do you find this mentor? It's like I
Hmm.
literally just put myself out
Yeah, you
there.
just ask.
I just ask.
Yeah.
Like the worst that anybody can ever say to you in
Yeah.
with that question is
It's
no.
no. Yeah.
And even then, it's so hard for the person to say no
Yeah.
because typically the person is really caring or
Yeah.
whatever, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, right now isn't the best time, but if you
Yeah.
circle back in 6 months
Mhm.
or this time next year,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Great,
Yeah.
circle back."
Yeah.
And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, no
Yeah.
harm, no foul. But I
Yeah.
think I don't know. Sometimes I think that people can overthink acquiring mentors where it's like it's literally as easy as asking,
Yeah.
coming prepared,
Hmm.
right? Like not wasting their time.
Hmm.
And even your, the doctor that, you had a chance to be around while you were in Philly, she knew who you were. She knew you
Yeah.
were high achieving. She knew
Yeah.
you were hardworking. She knew you were disciplined.
Hmm.
And all of those traits probably reminded her of a young version of herself.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I want to lean in.
Hmm.
So sometimes these mentors want just as much, if not more, out of the relationship from the
Hmm.
mentee
Yeah.
that we are trying to seek as well.
Mhm.
So I just appreciate you sharing that because I think it's important. I think mentorship is like such a powerful tool that like we all should be using no
Yeah.
matter the age to just get better and
Yeah.
to continue to learn more and
Uh-huh.
just be, I think, a net positive to society.
Yeah. I also think people just want you to be receptive as a mentee. That's a big thing. If you come in thinking that you know everything, then that's not going to be a good mentor-mentee relationship. So, I mean, end of it.
You got it. You got it. Well,
So,
yeah.
I mean, you have to be receptive to feedback too. And sometimes that feedback is hard to take, because you may think that you're doing like, oh, I'm doing this amazingly, and they give you a different approach to something. And it's like, oh, like that may not have been how I wanted to do it or how I thought was the best, but like now that's maybe I can apply that in some other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You got it, man. You got it. So medical from UGA, you went to Medical College of Georgia. Then
Hmm.
you went on to residency at Penn, which is an Ivy League. So again, you continue to just dominate, dominate, dominate. But I also observed my wife go through Medical College of Georgia. I know that you guys were one of a handful of Black
Hmm.
students, and
Yeah.
in dental school. I'm assuming that you're probably one of a handful of Black students at Penn and in your
Hmm.
residency program as
Yeah.
well. What continued to give you like the confidence to, really continue to achieve and do well in these programs?
Yeah, there were definitely times where you felt like maybe I'm being treated a little bit differently. But I think for me, just coming back to that thought of like, am I doing my best? Am I putting all the effort into it with different faculty? Like, do they know that I'm putting in all of my work? I think that that's what helped me go and keep going is just like putting in the work, putting in the effort, not giving up.
Yeah, it's good, man. Really good. Any advice for that? Because I'll speak for myself. At times, I have felt like, oh, this isn't fair.
Hmm.
It's not fair. I'm not being treated,
Yeah.
um, like this person or these counterparts, right? But like,
Hmm.
any advice for the person that may be in that season that is thinking that?
Yeah, if you're, I know that's a really hard position to be in. Um, if you're thinking that, the way that I would approach it is if it's a certain person, and this is how I dealt with situation. I can't think of like any like one situation where I remember this happening, but like in dental school, for instance, I know that I would schedule like a one-on-one with my professor. Like if I felt like something, once again, it's like goes back to that ask. And so I remember setting up an office hour with that person and talking to them and just explaining them like how I felt and how like what can I do to be like to do better, be better. I do remember having those conversations like where it's like where I was like, hey, like I may not be getting this right now, but like what do you recommend for me to do? And so I think asking, I think there's if I think just talking to the person, and sometimes people may be using their own prejudice
Mm,
and they don't realize it. Um, and then maybe when you have that conversation, they'll realize, like, hey, like maybe I'm not treating this person fairly. I feel like I've probably been in that situation before where I've felt that way. I can't think of any one situation off the top of my head right now, just when you ask that question. But I know like when I've felt that way and it's been certain things, I just feel like I have to muster up the courage to go ask the person, be like, hey, like I feel like I'm doing a good job. Is there anything else that I can do better? And then that person may be able to look back at you and be like, maybe like he's doing a good job. Maybe
mm.
it's something that's internal that I don't realize like I'm giving them or treating them a different way because of one thing or another. It could be so many different things, but I think talking to people goes a long way.
Yeah, totally agree, man. I couldn't agree with you anymore.
And that takes courage. I mean, it takes a lot of courage, especially like as a young student. And then also like add the minority, whatever that minority is on top of it. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to
Yeah.
go up to someone who's like higher than you and say that. But I think it can just be as simple as like, hey, like I'm doing this, like once again, like you said, going to your mentor, coming prepared, like I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Like how can I like what can I do better? Because I feel like I'm not excelling, or I feel like I'm not meeting your expectation. And like what is your expectation?
Yep.
And so it's just conversation.
You hit it on the head, man, because honestly, like if there's anything I learned through college and then graduate school was a lot of times like my professors and my advisors
Hmm.
wanted to see the effort,
Hmm.
right? Like, oh, you're gonna like take time out of your schedule to come to these office hours and kind of put me in the hot seat and ask these questions.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I'm paying for it. Like
Yeah.
I need to know at least like and it matters,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
matters at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And I want to excel. I want to be a
Hmm.
high achiever. I want to be successful. But I
Yeah.
think that like, and I always did it in a caring way, in a kind way, but I would come prepared with like, hey, this is like all the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Where am I missing?
Yeah. I'm trying.
I'm
And
trying.
I'm trying my best. And now I think there's a difference if you aren't trying and then you go try to talk to someone and then you're like, how can I do better? And it's like, well, you're not putting in the work.
Mhm.
And so there's you have to be doing the work to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Hmm.
Couldn't agree with you, anymore at the end of the day.
Hmm.
So you mentioned growing up, one of your primary mentors was an orthodontist.
Hmm.
However, you decided to specialize in pediatric dentistry.
Yes.
So why pediatric versus ortho or anything else for that matter?
So I was so I actually shied away from pediatric dentistry and dental school because when I was growing up, I once again did a lot of different things, activities. I ended up working as a day camp counselor my last 2 years of high school. Also in college, I did summer camps, like where I coached gymnastics, and did a few summer camps doing that. And so I always enjoyed working with kids. In dental school, I was like, I've always done this. Literally, like if you look back at my resume and like go back to jobs, there's probably something like where I've worked with like kids every single job. And then growing up too, one of my other passions as a high schooler, we had an organization where we'd work with special need kids and like you'd be a mentor in high school. And so that impacted me growing up. And so dental school, I tried to like not do that. So that was the last thing. I was like, I've always worked with kids. Let me make sure like there's nothing else that I want to do. So I knew with ortho, once I had kind of looked at all the other specialties, ortho, you'd be with teenagers and adults, and then pediatrics, obviously all kids. So I went down to on my pediatric rotation. I remember one of the pediatric instructors just being like, "Oh, like you're pretty good at this. Like this is like, why aren't you seeking this out?" And I told her the same thing. I was like, I've always worked with kids, kind of shied away from it in dental school. But I feel like you end up having your calling. And I think people are called to do different things. And that's one of the many things I love doing. I feel like my job is very fun every day. I can connect with different kids. I work with a lot of my patients can be scared, nervous. So I feel like if you come in with the energy and like match like the kids' energy, and it could be so many different things. It could be a teenager who's just very chill, laid back. So connecting with them on like with music or like whatever you find like an interest with, to a 6-year-old who's wearing like cat ears and you come in the room and you're like meowing with them.
Yeah.
Like my day is so random, but like for me, I think that is great for my personality and something that I love. It feels authentic, and I don't feel like it's like I'm putting on a show, putting on a front.
Mhm.
I'm just coming up as myself, and that's like what kids want you to do. They just want you to be you because they want to feel like they're in a space like where they can be comfortable
Yeah,
to
man.
be themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you are. If there's anybody that I know that is doing what they should be doing, it is you,
Well, that means a lot.
to a T, man. You
Mhm.
are, I don't think I'm the parent, so I don't think I need to worry about HIPAA, but you are our kids, pediatric dentists as well. And it's like every time, and like, uh, give me grace with this, but it's like, as the working professional, both my wife and I, two dual, working household, typically taking your kids to those appointments is like a drag in
Yeah.
reality because you're
Yeah.
like, I gotta adjust my work schedule, I
Yeah.
gotta drive wherever.
Yeah.
And however, taking our kids to your office, it's like it is a joy. Like
Mhm.
legitimately, y'all do a great job. It
Means
is
a lot.
beautiful aesthetically.
Mhm.
Your employees have the highest level of just like intentionality, I think care as well. And that's really important to me
Yeah.
because it's like at the end of the day, I want to make sure if I'm stepping away from my work and like the office that like I have a good experience and that my
Hmm.
kids have a good experience and y'all
Yeah.
have like all the gadgets in there as well,
Yeah.
which is great.
That means a
And the
lot.
kids leave feeling, I mean, on 10, you know. So again, you're doing a phenomenal job, man, and it's great, really, really great just to see.
Hmm.
But tell me about because you are a private practice pediatric dentist. You do have a partner in there as
Hmm.
well that is an
Yeah.
orthodontist, but
Yep.
y'all have built this beautiful practice that you
Hmm.
continue to expand and
Hmm.
do more to. And clearly, it seems like every year is better and better and better for you. But just tell
Yep.
me about the journey of being a private practice pediatric dentist.
Yeah, so I worked as an associate for a long time, and I feel I thoroughly enjoyed my job as an associate. But you go on, and it comes to a fork in the road of like, hey, do I just want to work for someone, or do I want to like have my own business, be my own boss? And for me, that was a big leap of faith to do, and a big you just have to do it, and it felt right for me. So yeah, so me and my business partner, Mallory, who's orthodontist, who's amazing. We met in dental school as well with India. And so me and Mallory decided during COVID of all times, that we would just go ahead and open a business. Like we weren't working. So it was like, hey, like, what are you doing? And it's like, let's open a business. Seems pretty dumb if you like you're shut down as a dentist, not working. So you're like, hey, let's figure out this business plan. Honestly, if it weren't for COVID, I don't know. And I have another friend who we were recently talking about this. He was saying, he was like, man, I don't know if it weren't for COVID, if you would have had the time to like set aside everything. So I know that it shut the world down and changed lives in so many different ways, and that's how it let me slow down a little bit so then I could see like what would I want in a business and what would it look like. So yeah, we decided to open up an office. We looked at different spaces, looked all over the metro area, and then we fell in love with Noonan. And so we decided to go ahead and open a pedo ortho office together, work hand in hand. Once more, as I was saying, do I want to be an orthodontist? Do I want to be a pediatric dentist? So both specialties work really well together. Mallory, my business partner, is awesome. Trust her immensely. We also have different strengths, I feel. So it's great to have a business partner where you can have someone who's strong in one area and like you're strong in a different area so you can balance each other out. And so I truly, for me at least, and I have other friends who are in various businesses and friends who are dentists, and I feel like for me having a business partner is great because you have someone who has your back every single day.
Mhm.
So you're there to work each other, you're there to help build each other up. You may be having a hard day, and then they're there to like help you see things from like a different perspective. It's like, hey, like this may be going hard, but like these are so many great things that are going on. So during COVID, we decided to build an office, and then the name kind of came up, and this is a full circle moment. So we came up with Dream. So we wanted our space to feel like any kid could come in, feel like they could like follow their dreams, follow their heart, shoot for the stars. Like
Mm.
my mom always signed. So it's like follow your dreams, follow your heart. She's a female orthodontist, so that's a small community there too, and a predominantly male field. And then I'm a black male pediatric dentist, which is also like another small little niche area too. And so coming together, like we felt like we wanted to build a space that felt authentic to us, where we followed our heart, followed our dreams, where our patients could also see that and it felt authentic. Um, I know that you're Chick-fil-A.
Mhm.
So going to Chick-fil-A, you want to have a certain experience. And so that was another thing we kind of modeled our business off of, like having that Disney, that Chick-fil-A experience. So like everyone came in, had the most positive experience that we could give them. And we both were on the same page. Me and Mallory were both on the same page with that, and like how we wanted our office to feel aesthetically. We wanted our office to have our feel, which felt more young, modern, not like your normal old school dentist. So, and for it to feel just authentic to ourselves. So we decided to open 2020 was when we got everything situated with the banks, the loans, all that good stuff. We started to see patients in 2021. So, first patient journey, we've grown from a team of two. So, we started out with two people, two great people, and immensely will forever be so thankful for because we couldn't have done it without them. We started out with two team members, and now I think we're up to, I think with people who kind of are part-time or still like kind of temp regularly or like fill in, we're about at 15 team members.
Wow.
So a good bit of people to manage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So learning something new every day. Our team is great. So as you spoke on, I love hearing that from the patient side. We pride ourselves in trying to provide the best patient experience that we can give. Our team members are all great. They're all excellent. And even we have a morning huddle every day. And you'll even hear um, like they too even want to give like that Disney experience and they want patients to feel that. And so I feel like that starts from the top. So like both me and Mallory, like we once again like want to be the best that we can be. And so that trickles down to our team members wanting to also provide that level of care.
Yeah, man, you hit that out of the park. And it's very evident and clear your passion behind your business and what you're doing
Yeah.
it's like at an all-time high. And it's fascinating because as you mentioned, like, yes, I'm corporate Chick-fil-A, so I get that experience every day,
Hmm.
like legitimately. Like,
Hmm.
if people will never understand until you drive through the gates at our corporate headquarters
Hmm.
and you go into that office and you're like, boy, do I feel safe? Do I
Hmm.
feel cared for? Do I feel loved? Right. And you see nonstop massive groups of tours every day coming
Hmm.
through, and people are like, their minds are blown and
Yeah.
captivated. But I
Yeah.
think that again, I sit in this unique seat of being able to leave that office from time to time and then pick up one of the kids and bring them to your office.
Hmm.
And I'm like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. It is an experience. It's lively. It's not the, and I'm no disrespect towards this, but it's not the old school stuffy,
Yeah.
dark
Yeah.
doctor office where it's my way or the highway to all of
Hmm.
the staff. It's like your staff, they're in there happy, vibrant, jovial,
Yeah.
asking questions, like talking to the kids, engaging with everybody.
Hmm.
I'm like, I hope that they know, the doctors, you
Hmm.
guys as partners of this practice, like that you have found the experience, bottled it up, and you continue to replicate it time and time and time again.
Hmm.
And like, so you're only going to continue to be as successful as you want to be in
Hmm.
reality. So it's a gift, man. And I think that like that's a large part of why I wanted you to open up and share more on this platform. Cause I'm like, people, we have a lot of mutual friends and friends that are
Uh-huh.
like considering starting their own practice, friends that are probably already doing their own practice,
Hmm.
people that are thinking about doing their own business.
Yeah.
And you may know numbers, you may know, teeth, but like you must know people.
Hmm.
Like that is really the business that you are in, is the people business and
Hmm.
taking care of people.
Hmm.
And if you get that right, we're gonna feel it in your practice.
Yeah.
And I feel it in your practice,
Oh,
man.
thank you. That
Yeah,
means a lot.
it's a
That
gift.
means
It's
a lot.
really a gift. You just mentioned, I learn something new every day. And I know that you pride yourself on learning something new every day.
Hmm.
Why is that important to you?
Just to keep growing.
Mm.
Um, uh, I I teach yoga as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I think I did earlier. I teach yoga as well. So today, actually, we celebrate milestones in the yoga class that I teach, and it was someone's 700th class and someone's 100th class. And can't remember like the quote off the top of my head from today, but it was about becoming. So I feel like if you're not learning, you're not continuing to evolve, you're not continuing to become your best self. And so that's where I truly pride myself in learning something new every single day. It could be I mean, learning something silly. I mean, it could be learning something new, like with a computer software. It could be, I don't know, like I'm learning a TikTok dance from my
Mhm.
office. It could be anything. But I feel like if you're not learning and taking like little bits and pieces from the people around you, from situations throughout your day, you're closing yourself off and you're not being able to truly become your best self. So I think every day there are learning opportunities from so many different things around us, so many different people that we interact with. It can be from a difficult situation, it could be from a super positive situation. Like you learn like one thing new. And I feel like that's the big thing about life is you're always like wanting to learn, you're always wanting to grow as a person. Once you stop that, I feel like it becomes even harder. So like my grandmother, she was 96 when she passed away, and I feel like that was a big thing that she always did. She was always busy, always moving outside. Like that was what she did. She like was active and like learning and growing, and I feel like mentally it just keeps you focused. And yeah, so I'm always trying to learn one thing new. I mean, probably way more than one every day, but just something new about myself, about other people, how to interact with people. What can I take from a difficult situation?
Yeah, it's good, man. And I thoroughly agree with you. My grandfather was 93 and he passed away,
Hmm.
and he just moved.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whether he was in his garden messing
Yeah.
with tomatoes or
Hmm.
whatever, he walked every single day, and like he lived, to me, a beautiful and a peaceful
Yeah.
life. Like,
Yeah.
and he was healthy. He was fit all
Yeah.
the way through his 90s.
Yeah.
And I think he passed away because I think he was just ready to go in
Yeah.
reality,
Yeah.
And I was like, got
Yeah.
it. I learned a lot through that experience.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
active,
Hmm.
take care of people, be kind, and like,
Yeah. Be kind.
and it's very simple. What advice would you give? Just a few more questions for you.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to those that are contemplating either starting their own private practice and or their own business?
Uh-huh. Yeah. People who are, I would, going back to the thought earlier of talking to people around you, connecting with people. I have a good friend who I went to residency with, one of my co-residents. And if they're a few years ahead of me in their practice. And so I talked to my friend Katie literally all the time. I was like, hey, how did you do this? Like, what'd you do to approach to do this? Any question I had that could be applicable, because she had gone through the same thing or something very similar, even though businesses are a little bit different and look a little bit different. Just talking to the people around you who have had the experience, reaching out, not being afraid to ask. You'd be surprised. Everyone that I've asked a question about, they probably have either had the same situation or they know someone else who could help you. So just not being afraid to ask for help, and like ask people about their experience, just like you're doing right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it, man. Yeah, man, and not just like I think that it is very important. Like if you not just learning something new every day, but it's like being a sponge
Yeah.
and a continuous student, right?
Hmm.
Like I don't do what you do. I don't want to be a pediatric dentist, but
Yeah.
there's so many things that I can learn from you and
Yeah.
have learned from you and continue
Same
to
with
learn from
you.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Same with you. Yeah.
Um, and I think it's important. I think if you continue to be a student of just like life,
Hmm.
you're going to end up being like the best version of yourself at the end
Yes.
of the day.
Hmm.
And you'll be able to really like serve and like take care of people and be a person that's like extremely talented. I think
Hmm.
in like offering skills and gifts to, the world. So that's really, I appreciate you sharing that for sure. Also on the business note, what are some of like the common challenges that you feel like you either deal with and or
Hmm.
may or may not have known about prior to stepping into private practice?
So for me, and I feel like with any business, so whatever your business is, you're probably excellent at that thing. The hardest thing I feel is, and it could be me. I don't have my MBA. Didn't go to business school, so that skill set wasn't in my back pocket. In dental school, you like kind of play a game about running a business, but you don't really learn anything about it. And so the biggest thing for me has been learning to work with people, and then just finding the leadership style that works best for me and that works for my team. And so you come in, oh, this is a great circle back. You come in and you're like, oh, everyone should be doing it like me. But back to one of your questions earlier, like, are you being too hard on like someone, one of your team members may respond to feedback differently than another team member. So I feel like that's the biggest thing and the biggest growth area that I'm always striving for is just learning how to be the best leader that I can be, because you can lead in a lot of different ways. Um, and it's really just finding like your leadership style and how to like lead your team and get them to the destination. And everyone is going to respond differently to different leadership styles. So that's a great thing about with our team having two different. Me and Mallory were both very different people, and we lead in I'd say slightly similar but different ways, and we know how to connect with different people in different ways. So where she may be able to connect with one person one way, I may not be able to, and vice versa. So I think one of the biggest challenges is just like learning how to be the best leader and connecting with people, being their boss. Like the dentistry part, like you've gone to school for all of these years to like do that part. And then you've worked, for me, like I worked as an associate for all of these years, 6 years before owning a business. So then it's like, I know that part. It's just now how am I being a good leader?
Mhm.
So I feel like that's been the biggest challenge, in learning how to connect with people who may not respond to that particular leadership style, learning how to like adjust it a little bit, because you can learn how to adjust it, and you can learn how to connect and get everyone on board, get things across, points across, and be able to connect with everyone.
Yeah.
And it won't always be perfect. I'm not saying that thing. It's a constant journey every single day, and that's one of the things I think I like going to courses, and that always just trying to be and like learn from that, learn with leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, man. Really good. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important because I don't know, I feel like, from the generation above us to now millennials, it's like we are starting to realize the importance of like people
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
like that journey because it's no longer, we don't live in the society of my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Like that's done.
Yeah.
And what we are definitely seeing with the generation coming behind us,
Hmm.
like they're electing to like, I don't have to come and work for you.
Yeah. No.
Like
Yeah.
I'll go over here and do this over there, like make
Yeah.
less money just to be happy,
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point that you highlighted. My last question for you. So Arkansas to Atlanta, Georgia to dental school to Penn, you've done all of these exceptional things, being an associate to now running your own private practice now.
Hmm.
What do you wish younger Jovas during his hardest, darkest moments knew about the journey and like life today?
I wish I would say keep going. Um, I don't, I think you have all the tools. You know, you have all the tools. And so it's when days are hard and you feel like you can't keep going, just keep going. Like you can do it. That's what I would say to younger Jovas. And just keep being yourself. Like when you want to shy off of like, um, maybe showing a part of yourself, don't be afraid to do that. Just keep being yourself, keep being you, and yeah, keep smiling along the way.
It's good, man. Listen, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the friendship. You're an excellent friend. And I just appreciate like your level of discipline and how you're approaching and attacking your career and also balancing it with being an exceptional friend to those are that you are around. So thank you, man. You're a huge inspiration to myself, my family, and to really all of our peers.
Hmm.
Keep pushing yourself, man. Any way that we can continue to serve and help you in your business and your practice,
Hmm.
we will, man. But you
Okay.
know that y'all are great.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah.
Cool.